Hey everyone! Today we are taking a look at Song of Tides in adventure mode. And I wanted to go over this because someone had asked for me to post a video on this, even though I really would like to have some more footage before doing a complete video. But at least this way you'll have an idea of what to expect when you run this dungeon. So first off, it's the exact same as normal mode. However, it's a lot harder. You need to have a DPS much higher. And there's some issues with tanking that you have to keep into consideration in this a little bit more than normal. So we'll go ahead and go through what you need to do for this. Okay, just like in normal mode, you're going to need to move onto these bosses very quickly. Use flash, it works best. Tanks, be careful, don't move too far out. I've seen it kill me several times when I move too far out with that little yellow circle, but just try to avoid being in the yellow other than tanks. And then stand on the boss. You're going to stack directly on the boss that you're on, whether you're on green, blue, or purple. And then share damage. If you don't get to the boss quickly enough, you will die. So it's really important to move quickly onto that boss. After share damage, move to the edge of this section until it turns yellow. And you'll see here in just a second, there it goes. It's going to have a yellow message in your screen and the floor is going to turn yellow. At which point you quickly move to your next boss and stack on the next boss. Go ahead and stand here until it's time to share damage. Again, tanks, if you get the yellow circle around you like I did here, just move out a little bit and the other players move away from that. If tanks move out too far, you will end up dying. So just go ahead and stand on them for sheer damage. In the background, we have an ad on the purple section. Tanks, just grab that ad if you have it. While we share damage here, I just want to point out the buffs with the counter on it. So after share damage, I'm going to move to the edge, and then when it turns yellow, I'm going to move into the blue section. And the reason is because if I have a green buff with a counter on it, and I'm in that green section when this yellow hits, I will die because I have that green buff with the counters, or with the timers. So just make sure that when you have one of these buffs that you move out of that section. So if you time it where you move to here blue, I'm in blue now. I started off in purple, so you can see I no longer have the purple buff with the counter. So if you share damage and then move to the next section, after the share damage, when the yellow hits, then your third counter will drop off before you get back to that section. So it works really well for rotating around the room. Again, here, all we're doing is sharing damage. And then we are going to move to the corner of the purple and blue. And then we'll wait there until the floor turns yellow. And then we'll move to the next section. Now here, the hardest part that we had was keeping everybody alive to do all these mechanics correctly. It's not hard to do the mechanics, but you have to really be careful to watch. If you end up losing tanks or DPS during this, chances are you're going to struggle with the next part, especially right now because the DPS check is pretty high. So here again, I'm just going to move out a little bit because I've got that yellow circle on me because I'm a tank. And we are just DPSing these little bosses until they are down. You'll notice again, I was pointing out the green buff with the counter on it. Now my green buff is gone, so I am all set to move to the green section after that yellow. So here again, share damage, move to the edge, and then when the boss is down. So that's good. So you just keep moving around the circle like that. All right, for this section, we found that you really need all three tanks up. A fourth tank would be very helpful, especially if your DPS is a little slower on this. We had a lot more problems with the tank stacks. Once stacks get to 30, you do end up dropping the crystals that put out those little purple orb things that will kill you. So here we're going to share damage. After we share damage, we're going to get red text over our head and circles around it, just some of the people. If you end up with red text over your head, you're going to move out and drop your puddles. Let's see. Okay, here we've got a share damage again. Let's see. The next should be the text over your head after this share damage. Share damage also seems to go on the tanks a lot. So here's red text over your head. Just move out and drop those puddles in the background. So these should be the purple puddles that are dropping now. Yep, there's one in the background. You can see it. So just move out as far as you can to avoid that. Now, again, here we're going to get another shear damage followed by more of the circles. So this is just a repeat of what we've already seen. It's the same as normal. There's nothing different. Tanks, we went all the way up to 30 stacks because that's when the crystals start dropping. So we went up to 30 stacks and then we switched tanks, and then the next tank went up to 30 stacks, and then we switched tanks again, and then the third one went up to 30 stacks, and by then we were able to down this boss. So again, it's really just balancing the stacks and the DPS, because if you don't, you're going to end up with crystals all over the place, and I can show a shot of that up above. Okay, so above you can see the crystal putting out the purple circles, and the more the tanks get stacks, or it's not really stacks, gets a potential stack above 30 when the boss hits them, you will drop additional crystals. So you can imagine that the room is going to get messy pretty quick. So if your DPS is lower and you're able to make it this phase just fine, then you might need to just take an additional tank if you are getting these stacks. So continue to share damage and move out for this section. Now I'd like to show more shots of kind of where the person gets sucked into the room, but you know that for the tentacles, the person gets sucked into the room. I have a shot of it in my normal video for this run. And so if you get sucked in the room, you communicate what color you are in there, and what you do is you mix two of the circle orbs that are on the outside, which I'm not seeing yet, so I don't think we've quite gotten to that phase yet. But if there are circle orbs on the outside, you can drop those. Not sure what was going on there, but oh, I was just trying to move out of the way because I still had aggro and I was concerned about stacks. So if you see the little balls drop and somebody has a color inside the tentacle room, you touch each of the balls. Now you can see them kind of in the back a little, kind of to the left of the boss, just next to the raid frame. So you would mix two colors to be the same as the color in the tentacle room, and then click on one of the portals. This is what I've been told from other people in YouTube leaving the comments. So once I get a good shot of that, I will be happy to post that, but for right now I don't have exactly what that is. I'm guessing that it might be good for tanks to do this, the off tanks, because you're waiting for 30 stacks. You've got a little bit of time to kill. And the DPS is busy trying to down the boss, so maybe that could be a job for the tanks. I'm not really sure what the best approach is for that, but again, you can mix the colors for the orbs to free the people in the tentacle room. And beyond that, that's all there is to this boss. Just keep moving the puddles out and sharing damage, and hopefully you'll have the DPS to down him. You're watching VGO40, and this is VGO Girl, and hopefully you found this helpful. Again, it's the same as normal. It's just a much higher hit point and DPS requirement. So thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.